The massive halls of the Galactic Council building on Zentara Prime had never been so quiet. Ambassador Kethfer looked around the room at the 47 different alien species sitting in their special chairs. His blue crystalline hands shook as he held the reports. This was not good news. "My fellow beings," he said, his voice echoing in the huge chamber. 3 days ago, all contact with the human homeworld stopped. We cannot reach Earth at all. The room exploded with noise. Aliens of all shapes and sizes began talking at once. Some had tentacles that waved in the air. Others had multiple eyes that blinked rapidly. The bird-like Zealothi flapped their wings nervously. Everyone was confused and worried Commander Jake Phillips should have arrived yesterday. He was supposed to bring Earth's report about how humans were fitting into galactic society. His ship, the Endeavor, never showed up at the meeting point. When the Council tried to call Earth's space stations, nobody answered. When they tried to reach the human colonies on the moon, there was only silence. Far away on a research planet called Kepler 442b, Lieutenant Colonel Amy Rodriguez was working. Late in her lab, she was the only high-ranking human military officer this far from Earth. When the emergency message came through her computer, she could not believe what she was reading. "Earth is silent?" she said to herself, reading the message again. "That's impossible." Amy had been working with the Zealothi aliens on new energy technology. The research was going well, and Earth had been very interested in their progress. Now, suddenly, she might be the most important human left in known space. The thought scared her back on Zentara Prime. The alien representatives were getting more upset by the minute. General Zorth from the Vrex Empire stood up. He was 7 feet tall with gray skin and sharp teeth. "I told you humans were dangerous," he growled. "They probably destroyed themselves with their weapons. This proves they should never have joined us." "That is not fair," said Dr. Yila from the peaceful Altarian Republic. Her voice was like music, and her skin glowed softly. "Humans have helped us many times. Something else must have happened." Ambassador Kethfer raised his hand for quiet. "We are sending search teams to the Sol system. We will find out what happened to our human friends." What none of them knew was that deep inside a mountain on Earth, Dr. Peter Hayes was working on the most secret project in human history. The underground lab was bigger than a football stadium, filled with machines that hummed with strange energy. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock on something called the Prometheus Project. Dr. Lisa Brooks watched the numbers on her computer screen with amazement. "Peter, come look at this," she called to her partner. "The quantum field is holding steady. I think we actually did it." Dr. Hayes ran over to her station. His hair was messy from working for days without sleep, but his eyes were bright with excitement. "Show me the readings again." Lisa pointed to the screen. "Look at this. The exotic matter is stable. The dimensional barriers are responding exactly like the theory predicted. We can actually bend space and time." For 5 years, the best human scientists had worked on this project in secret. They had studied alien technology, learned from other species, and pushed human knowledge further than ever before. Now they had created something that no other species in the galaxy had ever achieved. "Are you sure it's safe?" Peter asked. The machines around them glowed with blue and purple light. The air itself seemed to shimmer. "As sure as we can be," Lisa replied. "But Peter, if we do this, Earth will disappear from normal space. Nobody will be able to find us or contact us." Peter nodded slowly. This was the hardest decision humanity had ever faced. The technology they had created could hide Earth in folded dimensions, making them invisible to the rest of the galaxy. But it also meant cutting off all contact with their alien friends and allies. "The President approved the plan," Peter said quietly. "We go silent for 6 months, perfect the technology, and then reveal it to the galaxy when we're ready. Above them, on the surface of Earth, normal life continued. People went to work, children played in parks, and nobody knew that their planet was about to disappear from the visible universe. The government had kept the Prometheus project completely secret. In space, the first alien search ships were already heading toward Earth. Captain Alana Martinez of the survey vessel, New Horizon, was leading the advance team. She had worked with humans many times and considered them friends. "I don't understand it," she told her crew. "Humans always stay in contact. They love to talk and share information. Something big must have happened." Her science officer, Danny Kim, was actually half human. His mother had been from Earth, and his father was from the water world of Aquatica. "Maybe they're in trouble and need help," he suggested. "Humans are proud, but they're not stupid. They would ask for help if they needed it." Back in the underground laboratory, Dr. Brooks made the final preparations. "All stations report ready," she announced. "Dimensional field generators are online. Temporal anchors are stable. We are go for phase shift." Dr. Hayes took a deep breath. Once they activated the dimensional field, Earth would slip into folded space. To the rest of the galaxy, it would seem like the planet had simply vanished. They would be able to see out, but nobody would be able to see in. "This is for the protection of everyone," he reminded himself. The technology was too dangerous to share before they understood it completely. If other species tried to copy it without proper knowledge, they could tear holes in space itself. "Initiating dimensional phase shift in 10 seconds, Lisa announced. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activate." The machines roared to life. Reality bent and twisted around Earth like a soap bubble. From space, the planet flickered once and then disappeared completely. Earth was still there, but it now existed in a place between dimensions where nobody could find it. The galaxy felt the shift immediately, though they didn't understand what it meant. Trade routes that passed near Sol System reported strange readings. Ships had trouble with their navigation computers. But most importantly, the voice of humanity had gone completely silent. On Zentara Prime, Ambassador Kethvar received the first report from the search teams. "Sir," his assistant said, "they've reached the Sol System. Earth is gone." Admiral Korth had never organized such a huge search mission before. Ships from 17 different alien species filled the space around Zentara Prime. The massive fleet looked like a moving city of metal and lights. Every species wanted to help find the missing humans. The Altarians brought their crystal ships that could see through different types of energy. The Zilithi offered their fast scout vessels that could travel between stars quickly. Even the normally unfriendly Vrex Empire sent 3 battleships to help with the search. "This is the largest cooperation in galactic history," Admiral Korth told his officers. His gray skin was marked with the scars of many space battles, but his 6 eyes showed real concern. "The humans may be new to our community, but they have become very important to all of us." Captain Elena Martinez stood on the bridge of her ship, the New Horizon. She was one of the best explorers in the galaxy, known for finding lost ships and solving space mysteries. Her crew was a mix of different species who all worked well together. "Set course for the Sol System," she ordered. "Maximum speed." The journey to Earth's home system took 2 days. During that time, more reports came in from across the galaxy. Every human colony, every human trade ship, every human diplomat had gone completely silent at exactly the same time. It was like someone had turned off a switch and made all humans disappear. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Rodriguez worked day and night at her research station. She was now the highest-ranking human officer that anyone could contact. Alien leaders kept calling her, asking for answers she did not have. "Amy," said Dr. Yila through the communication screen, The Altarian's skin was glowing brighter than usual, which meant she was very worried. "Do you have any idea what could have happened to your people?" Amy shook her head. "I've tried everything. Our emergency communication channels are dead. Even the secret military frequencies show nothing but static. It's like Earth just stopped existing." When Captain Martinez and her fleet reached the Sol system, what they found made no sense at all. The sun was still there, burning brightly. Mars looked normal with its red surface and small human colonies. Jupiter and Saturn continued their slow dance around the sun with all their moons, but Earth was wrong. "Captain," said Danny Kim from his science station. His mixed human and aquatic heritage made him very good at understanding strange readings. "The planet is there, but it's not there at the same time." "Explain that better," Elena ordered. Danny pointed to his screen, which showed waves of confusing data. "Sometimes our sensors see Earth clearly. We can see the blue oceans and green land, but then it flickers and we see something else. Sometimes the planet looks like it did millions of years ago, with no cities at all. Sometimes we see cities that look more advanced than anything humans have built." Chief Engineer Rosa Bell, who had worked with human technology many times, studied the readings carefully. "It's like the planet is unstuck in time," she said slowly. "I've never seen anything like this." The search ships moved closer to where Earth should be. The space around the planet felt strange. Their instruments gave different readings every few seconds. Some ships reported seeing normal Earth with its space stations and satellites. Other ships saw nothing but empty space where the third planet should be. "Look at the moon," Danny said suddenly. "That's definitely not normal." Through their telescopes, they could see that Earth's moon had been completely changed. The gray surface was covered with huge metal structures that gleamed in the sunlight. Massive towers reached up from the moon's surface, like fingers trying to touch the stars. Strange energy patterns danced between the towers. "Those structures weren't there a week ago," Captain Martinez said. "I've been to the Sol system many times. The human moon colonies were small and simple." "Captain," called Lieutenant Gary Foster from the communications station, "I'm picking up some kind of signal from the moon structures. It's not in any language our computers recognize." On Mars, the search teams found even stranger things. Human colonies that had been struggling to grow food in the harsh environment were now surrounded by lush green areas. Domed cities that should have taken decades to build stood complete and gleaming. The atmosphere processors that had been working slowly for years showed readings as if they had been running for centuries. "This makes no scientific sense," said Dr. Carl Murphy, the fleet's lead scientist. His forearms moved quickly as he worked on multiple data screens at once. "Terraforming takes hundreds of years. You cannot change a planet overnight." But the strangest discoveries came from the asteroid belt. Human mining operations that had been barely making enough money to survive were now producing refined metals at impossible rates. The asteroids showed signs of advanced mining that looked both very old and very new at the same time. Lieutenant Colonel Rodriguez received reports from across the galaxy that made her even more confused. Human colonies on distant worlds were thriving in ways that should not be possible. Farming worlds that had poor soil were suddenly producing huge crops. Mining stations on dead rocks were finding precious metals that had not been there before. "It's like someone went around the galaxy helping every human settlement," she told her alien research partners. "But the timing makes no sense. Some of these improvements happened years ago, according to the local records." Dr. Nathan Cross was studying biological samples from human colonies when he made an important discovery. The half-insect scientist from Buteria was known for being very careful with his research. "Amy, you need to see this," he buzzed through the communication system. I found something hidden in the last data transmission from Earth. Amy looked at the complex patterns on her screen. What am I looking at? These look like blueprints, Nathan explained. But not for any technology I recognize. The mathematics are incredibly advanced. It's like looking at plans for machines that are centuries ahead of current galactic science. Are you saying humans developed this technology? Amy asked. I'm saying someone did, Nathan replied. And they hid the information in routine communication signals. Amy, I think your people didn't disappear by accident. I think they planned this. Back in the Sol system, Captain Martinez made a decision that would change everything. We're going closer to Earth, she announced. Whatever is happening to that planet, we need to understand it. As the new horizon moved toward the flickering planet, space itself began to bend around them. Reality twisted and stretched like rubber. For just a moment, Alina thought she could see through the distortion to something incredible hiding behind the veils of normal space. Captain Danny sighed, his voice full of wonder. I don't think Earth disappeared. I think it evolved. Dr. Rachel Kim had always been the smartest person in any room. The half-Korean, half-Zealothy scientist could think in ways that amazed even her alien colleagues. She had been working for 3 days straight, trying to decode the hidden messages from Earth's last transmission. I think I found something, she announced to the research team aboard the joint vessel Intrepid. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic display, showing mathematical patterns that hurt to look at directly. These aren't just blueprints, she continued, her excitement growing. These are coordinates. And timestamps. And something else that looks like instructions for a project I can't even understand. The coordinates led the search fleet to the very edge of the Sol system, where space looked different. Stars seemed to bend around an area that should have been empty. Ships reported navigation problems when they got too close. Reality itself felt unstable. Commander Tony Walsh piloted his exploration ship Discovery toward the strange region. He had explored more unknown areas of space than any human. Alive, but this was unlike anything he had ever seen. Control, this is Discovery, he radioed back to the fleet. Space is doing things here that shouldn't be possible. My instruments are reading multiple dimensions in the same location. Can you be more specific? Asked Admiral Korth from his command ship. Double quotes, sir. It's like looking through broken glass. I can see layers of space stacked on top of each other. Sometimes I see normal empty space. Sometimes I see structures that look bigger than planets. Sometimes I see what looks like Earth, but it's in the wrong place. Dr. Susan Miller was working frantically at her station on the research base. She had finally broken more of Earth's hidden code, and what she found made her hands shake with excitement and fear. They did it, she whispered to herself. They actually did it. She called an emergency meeting of all the senior researchers. When everyone gathered around her workstation, she took a deep breath before speaking. I know what happened to Earth, she said. They didn't disappear. They transcended. What does that mean? Asked Dr. Yaila, her crystalline form glowing with curiosity. The humans achieved dimensional engineering, Susan explained. They learned how to exist in multiple layers of reality at the same time. Earth is still there, but it exists in folded space where we can't normally see it. The room went silent. Dimensional engineering was something every advanced species had tried to achieve. It was the holy grail of physics, the key to unlimited energy. And space travel. No one had ever succeeded. That's impossible, said Dr. Cross, his insect eyes blinking rapidly. The energy requirements alone would destroy a planet. Unless you found a way to borrow energy from other dimensions, Rachel Kim added, studying Susan's data. Look at these calculations. They're using exotic matter to create stable portals between dimensional layers. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Rodriguez received the news at her distant research station. For the first time in days, she felt hope instead of fear. If her people had achieved something this amazing, maybe they weren't lost forever. But then, more information came through the communications network that changed everything. Admiral Alex Turner's voice crackled through the static, weak but unmistakable. "This is Admiral Turner of the 7th Fleet. Can anyone hear me?" Amy almost fell out of her chair. "Alex? Alex Turner? You're supposed to be dead. Your fleet was destroyed by pirates 6 months ago." "Negative," came the reply. "My fleet is fine. We've been on a special mission that required radio silence. Amy, we need to talk, privately." The connection was established through encrypted channels that only the highest-ranking military officers knew about. When Alex's face appeared on Amy's screen, he looked older and very tired, but he was definitely alive. "Amy, listen carefully," he said. "My fleet wasn't destroyed. We were recruited by Earth for something called Operation Guardian. We've been operating out of folded space for months." "Operating how?" Amy asked. "Protecting the galaxy," Alex replied. "Remember all those pirate attacks that suddenly stopped happening? Remember how trade routes became safer for no apparent reason? That was us, operating from dimensional space where enemies couldn't see us coming." Amy's mind raced. "You're saying humans have been secretly protecting everyone?" "Not just protecting. We've been helping. Those improvements to human colonies across the galaxy? We've been quietly upgrading settlements, helping with crop problems, fixing broken equipment. All from dimensional space where no one could see us." The implications were staggering. While the galaxy thought humans had disappeared, they had actually become invisible guardians, helping and protecting other species without asking for anything in return. But Alex's next words made Amy's blood run cold. "Amy, there's more. The reason Earth went into dimensional space wasn't just to perfect the technology. They discovered something in the deep layers of reality. Something that threatens everyone." "What kind of threat?" Amy asked. "Ancient, huge, and very, very dangerous. When our scientists were experimenting with dimensional travel, they found evidence of something that has been sleeping between dimensions for millions of years. Our experiments accidentally woke it up. On the edge of the Sol system, Commander Walsh reported new readings. Control, I'm seeing tears in space. Small ones, but they're growing. And there's something moving behind them." Dr. Kim analyzed the data from Walsh's ship and felt her blood turn to ice. "Those aren't natural dimensional rifts," she announced to the research team. "Something is trying to break through from the other side." President Helen Adams made the decision that would change galactic history. From her dimensional office on Invisible Earth, she authorized the first official contact with the outside galaxy since the silence began. The transmission came through Amy's research station first, since she had the right equipment to receive dimensional signals. President Adams appeared as a flickering hologram, her image shifting between multiple realities. "Amy," she said, her voice echoing strangely, "we need you to prepare the galaxy for what's coming. Tell them we didn't disappear to abandon them. We disappeared to save them." "Save them from what?" Amy asked. "From something that destroyed entire galaxies before our species even existed. We found it sleeping in the dimensional layers, and our experiments woke it up. Now it's coming, and conventional weapons won't stop it." Amy felt the weight of the entire galaxy settling on her shoulders. "What do you need me to do?" "Convince them to trust us," President Adams replied. "Because the only way to fight this enemy is together, using technology that will change what it means to be alive in this universe." The hologram flickered and faded, leaving Amy alone with the most important message in galactic history. Earth hadn't fallen silent because they were selfish or afraid. They had fallen silent to become humanity's greatest gift to the stars. The first real contact with dimensional Earth happened by accident. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Rodriguez was running another experiment with exotic matter when her equipment suddenly started glowing with strange colors. The air in her laboratory began to shimmer like water. "What's happening?" asked Dr. Yila, who was helping with the research. The Altarian's crystalline body was glowing brighter than Amy had ever seen. Before Amy could answer, a figure materialized in the center of this room. President Helen Adams stood there, but she looked strange. Her image flickered between different versions of herself, as if she existed in several places at once. "Amy," President Adams said, her voice sounding like it came from far away. "I don't have much time. The dimensional connection is unstable." Amy quickly activated her recording equipment. This might be the only chance to get answers. "Madam President, the entire galaxy is looking for Earth. What happened to us? We achieved something incredible, but we also made a terrible mistake," Helen replied. Her image kept shifting and changing. "The dimensional technology works perfectly. We can exist in folded space and move between reality layers. But when we first tested it, we found something that should have stayed hidden." "The ancient enemy you mentioned?" President Adams nodded grimly. "It's older than our galaxy. Older than most of the species in the Galactic Council. It exists in the spaces between dimensions, feeding on the life energy of entire civilizations, until they collapse and die." Dr. Yila stepped forward, her musical voice filled with concern. "How do you know this?" "Because we saw the evidence," Helen answered. "In the deep dimensional layers, we found the remains of thousands of dead galaxies. Entire star systems drained of all energy. Planets turned to dust. And in the center of each dead galaxy, we found traces of the same entity." Amy felt a chill run down her spine. "And our experiments woke it up?" "Our dimensional experiments created vibrations that reached into its sleeping place. Now it's stirring, and it knows there's fresh life to consume. Amy, conventional weapons cannot hurt this thing. It exists partially outside normal reality." The connection began to weaken, and President Adams' image started to fade. "Tell the Galactic Council we need to meet. Not everyone will agree to what we're posing, but those who do might survive what's coming." The hologram disappeared, leaving Amy and Dr. Yila alone in the suddenly quiet laboratory. Amy immediately sent emergency messages to the Galactic Council, the search fleets, and every military commander she could contact. The emergency session on Zentara Prime was unlike anything in galactic history. Representatives from 47 species gathered to hear Amy's report about the dimensional contact. The great hall buzzed with nervous energy as she explained what President Adams had told her. "So you're saying," growled General Zorth from the Vrex Empire, "that humans found some ancient monster and accidentally woke it up? And now we're all supposed to trust them to fix their mistake?" "It's not that simple," Amy replied. "This entity would have awakened eventually anyway. Our experiments just made it happen sooner. But they also gave us the only weapon that can fight it." Ambassador Kethfer raised his crystalline hand. "What kind of weapon?" "Dimensional technology itself," Amy explained. "If we can get enough species to work together, we can create a galaxy-wide dimensional defense network. But it requires complete cooperation and trust." The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some species, like the peaceful Altarians and the scientific Zealoty, were willing to listen. Others, particularly the militaristic Vrex and the isolationist Corvin, wanted nothing to do with human technology they didn't understand. During the argument, Commander Steve Parker's voice suddenly filled the council chamber. Nobody had seen him enter, and security couldn't figure out how he had gotten past their sensors. "Ladies and gentlemen," Steve said, materializing in the center of the room like a ghost becoming solid. I'm Commander Parker of Earth's Dimensional Fleet. I'm here to show you what we've been doing while you thought we were gone. The holographic display that appeared above his head showed star maps of the entire galaxy. Hundreds of red dots marked locations where pirates had been operating. Green dots showed where human ships had stopped them. For the past 6 months, we've been protecting your trade routes, Steed explained. We've prevented 47 piracy attacks, stopped 12 interspecies conflicts before they could start, and quietly helped struggling colonies across the galaxy. More images appeared, showing human ships materializing out of folded space to destroy pirate vessels, then disappearing again before anyone could see them. The evidence was overwhelming. We didn't hide to abandon you, Steve continued. We hid to protect you while we learned to use our new abilities responsibly. Dr. Kevin Foster, Earth's lead dimensional physicist, appeared next to Steve. His image was more stable, suggesting he was closer to normal space. The math is simple, he said, displaying complex equations that few beings in the room could understand. The ancient enemy feeds on dimensional energy. Every species that uses faster-than-light travel, every civilization that bends space for communication, creates the kind of energy this thing eats. Are you saying our technology makes us vulnerable? Asked Dr. Yila. I'm saying you're already on its menu, Kevin replied bluntly. But dimensional defense technology can hide entire star systems in folded space. The enemy can't eat what it can't find. The room erupted in discussion again. Some representatives demanded proof that the ancient enemy was real. Others wanted to know why they should trust human technology. A few species threatened to withdraw from the Galactic Council entirely. Then the proof arrived in the worst possible way. The communication officer for the Galactic Council received an emergency transmission from the Outer Rim territories. Her face went pale as she listened to the report. Sirs, she announced, interrupting the debate, we're receiving distress calls from the Kepler sector. 3 star systems have gone completely dark. No communication, no energy readings, nothing. Admiral, Korth immediately contacted the patrol ships in that area. What they found confirmed everyone's worst fears. Where 3 thriving star systems had existed just days before, there was now only empty space. Not even debris remained. Commander, Walsh's voice crackled through the communication system from his position near the dead systems. Control, this is Discovery. The stars are still here, but they're dim. Very dim. It's like something drained most of their energy. Any signs of the planets? Admiral Korth asked. Negative, sir. There's some kind of space distortion where the planets should be. It's moving toward the next system. Dr. Foster's hologram turned to address the silent council chamber. That's how it feeds, he said quietly. It drains the life energy from planets first and moves on to the stars themselves. An entire galaxy becomes food. The reality of the threat hit the assembled representatives like a physical blow. This wasn't a human problem anymore. This was a threat to all life in the galaxy. How long do we have? Asked Ambassador Cuthver. At its current speed, it will reach the core worlds in 6 months, Dr. Foster replied. But it will get stronger and faster as it feeds. Eventually, it will consume everything. General Zorth, who had been the most opposed to trusting humans, stood up slowly. His warrior instincts recognized a threat that required immediate action. What do you need from us? Steve Parker smiled for the first time since appearing. We need volunteers. Species willing to undergo dimensional transition. It's not dangerous, but it will change how you see reality forever. And if we refuse? Asked the representative from the Merchant Guild. Then you die with the rest of the galaxy, Steve replied simply. But those who join us might have a chance to save everyone else. The vote wasn't unanimous, but it was decisive. 23 species agreed to participate in humanity's dimensional uplift program. The process would be difficult and would require more trust between species than had ever existed before. But for the first time since Earth fell silent, the galaxy had hope. The transformation began slowly, but it changed everything. Captain Ben Taylor stood in the main laboratory on Earth, watching as the first group of alien volunteers prepared for dimensional transition. The process looked frightening to those who had never seen it before. "Are you ready?" he asked Dr. Yila, who had volunteered to be the first Altarian to undergo the change. Her crystalline body was glowing nervously, but her voice was steady. "My people have always believed that growth requires courage," she replied. "If this technology can save the galaxy, then we must embrace it." The dimensional chamber filled with soft blue light. Dr. Yila stepped inside, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then her body began to shimmer and split, like looking at her reflection in broken glass. Suddenly, there were 3 versions of her, standing in the same space. "I can see everything," she whispered in amazement. "I can see this room, but I can also see the same room as it was yesterday, and as it will be tomorrow. I can see through walls, through space itself." Dr. Jennifer Martinez, who was leading the transition program, smiled with relief. "The Altarian physiology adapts to dimensional existence even better than we hoped. Your crystalline structure actually helps you see multiple realities at once." Over the following weeks, more species joined the program. The Zelathi brought their knowledge of organic technology, which helped create living computers that could process dimensional data. The mechanical Corvin contributed their expertise in reality anchoring, which kept the dimensional field stable. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. The warrior species of the Vrex Empire, led by General Zorth himself, discovered they could use dimensional technology for something no one had thought possible. "We can fight in multiple realities at the same time," Zorth reported after his transition. His gray skin now had strange patterns that shifted and moved. "A Vrex warrior who exists in 3 dimensions can defeat an enemy that only exists in 1. The ancient enemy was not waiting patiently while the galaxy prepared. More star systems went dark every day. The entity was growing stronger and moving faster as it consumed more energy. Refugee ships fled toward the galactic core, carrying survivors from the outer rim worlds. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Rodriguez, now promoted to general, established the first interdimensional defense academy on a space station that existed in folded reality. Young beings from dozens of species trained together, learning to navigate worlds their parents could never have imagined. Fighting this enemy requires thinking in ways that don't make sense in normal space, she explained to her students. "Eh?" Young Zelathi named Kira raised her wing. "General, how do we attack something that exists between dimensions?" Kira asked. "We don't attack it," Amy replied. "We trap it. The entity feeds on dimensional energy, but if we can create a pocket of folded space with no exits, we can contain it there forever." The plan was ambitious beyond anything the galaxy had ever attempted. Every species that had joined the dimensional program would work together to create a massive trap in space. They would use their combined technology to fold reality around the ancient enemy and lock it away. But first, they had to stop it from consuming more star systems. Commander Steve Parker led a fleet of dimensional ships toward the enemy's location. The vessels looked like normal spacecraft, but they could phase in and out of reality at will. When they reached the creature's feeding ground, what they saw horrified even the bravest warriors. The ancient enemy was enormous beyond description. It stretched across space like a living shadow, with tentacles that reached between dimensions. Where it touched reality, stars grew dim and planets cracked apart. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. All ships, Prepare for dimensional attack, Steve ordered. Remember, we're not trying to destroy it. We're trying to force it into the trap. The battle that followed was unlike anything in Galactic history. Ships appeared and disappeared around the entity, firing weapons that existed in multiple realities simultaneously. The creature fought back with forces that bent space and time, creating whirlpools in the fabric of existence itself. Doctor Kevin Foster coordinated the trap from Earth's Dimensional Command Center. The containment field is forming, he reported. All fleet units, drive the entity toward coordinates 847.3 by 221.7. The ancient enemy seemed to realize what was happening. It began moving away from the trap, heading toward the populated core, worlds where it could feed on billions of lives. The dimensional fleet had to work together to herd it like shepherds, driving a dangerous animal. General Amy Rodriguez watched the battle from her command station. Young officers from 20 different species worked side by side, their dimensional awareness allowing them to see the fight from angles that normal beings could never understand. It's working, she announced. The entity is moving into the containment zone. The final phase required every dimensional capable being in the galaxy to work together at exactly the same time. Humans, Altarians, Zelothi, Vrex, Corvin, and dozens of other species combined their abilities to fold space around the ancient enemy. Reality twisted and bent like metal being shaped by invisible hands. The creature fought against the trap, sending waves of dimensional energy that shook entire star systems. But the combined will of 23 species was stronger than one ancient entity, no matter how powerful. Containment successful, Dr. Foster announced as the dimensional cage snapped shut. The entity is trapped in a pocket of folded space with no connection to normal reality. It cannot escape, and it cannot feed. The war was over, but the changes it brought were permanent. Species that had barely trusted each other before now shared dimensional awareness that let them truly understand different perspectives. Crime became almost impossible when law enforcement could see through multiple layers of reality. Resource problems disappeared when mining operations could access materials from parallel dimensions. Most importantly, the fear that had divided the galaxy for centuries began to fade. When beings could literally see reality from another species' point of view, old prejudices seemed foolish and pointless. General Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Defense Station, watching ships from dozens of worlds phase in and out of reality. Some carried trade goods between dimensions. Others brought news from parallel realities, where different versions of history had unfolded. The galaxy had not just survived the ancient threat. It had evolved beyond anything its peoples had thought possible. And it all began when Earth fell. Silent for 6 months to save everyone. Dr. Yila, now serving as the Altarian ambassador to the Dimensional Council, visited Amy at the defense station. Her crystalline form sparkled with colors that existed in multiple realities. Do you think humanity knew this would happen when they first went silent? She asked. Amy smiled, watching a group of young beings from different species playing together in a park that existed in folded space. They were laughing and having fun while learning to move between dimensions as easily as walking through doors. I think they hoped, Amy replied. Humans have always believed that different species working together can accomplish more than any one species alone. They just gave us the tools to prove it. The galaxy was safer, wiser, and more united than ever before. Earth's silence had lasted only 6 months, but it had changed the meaning of life among the stars forever. The shift had been felt not just in space, but in the hearts of every being who chose cooperation over fear. And in the end, that was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy.